Welcome. Great to have you with us again today. My name is Sandra Weber, and for over 13 years I've been working successfully with Teki, a modality that I developed by myself. I do this as a consciousness trainer, as a trainer in my seminars, as a spiritual coach, and maybe I'm also a bit of a consciousness researcher, because I've been watching all my life how things are working in this world. What's happening? Why are some people doing well in life and others are not? And I think I've developed really good, effective tools in the course of time, which I also teach in my seminars, and which really help people to get through their everyday lives more smoothly and easily. And since last seminar weekend, the topic of the mirrors was so very present. So in the seminars, we also discuss many everyday matters. For example, how to improve, how we are positioned, and there it was simply very clear again that when we understand and identify the mirrors in our lives and apply them so we can benefit, we are able to live very different lives. We really then create a very different reality by tidying up within and without. And this is what I'd like to discuss with you today. There are many quotes also about the mirror reflections in life by very wise people. I'm just thinking of Gandhi, for example, who said, "Be the change you would like to see in the world." There's a very deep wisdom in that, because he's saying everything you do creates a ripple effect. Everything you are, everything you radiate, consciously or unconsciously, affects your environment. Clearly, consciously, by your doing something or saying something, or also within, by you repressing things, for example. All of it creates a reality and has an effect. It creates a reflection in your reality, showing you what else you should be working on. There is no reality in the way or in the sense that we believe it to exist, or the way that our ego wants to make us believe. Everybody experiences their own very individual realities. That's easy to see by the fact that the same situation that makes one person sad makes the other person angry and the third one helpless, and does not affect yet another at all. It's the same situation, but through our inner programming, through our inner so-called truths, we judge situations, and they in turn are followed by feelings and emotions, which we again radiate out. You can imagine this in the following way. You, as a whole being, with your whole subconscious, are a huge movie projector. And this movie projector is projecting everything onto the screen of your life, everything that there is, everything you are. There is not really any out there. Whatever you experience out there is created by you and by what and who you are, consciously and unconsciously. That's very important to understand. And to help people dive into this topic more deeply, I've developed the concept of the four mirrors in order for us to identify the kind of mirror more easily, the kind of mirror we're dealing with. I'm sure you've heard of life reflecting certain things to us, but often we don't really understand what it's about. I often hear the people say, "But Sandra, those people are so mean to me, and I'm really not a mean person. I'm totally peaceful." Well, it's not always that straightforward. Sometimes being mean can reflect to you that you don't think much of yourself, or being confronted with mean people, of course, or that you have a bad conscience and that you ought to do a bit of cleanup in yourself and a bit of forgiving. It might be an opportunity for you to raise your self-confidence, self-esteem, self-love to a higher level in order to create different mirror reflections in your reality again. Then all of a sudden people will show up in your life that respect you, that recognize and appreciate you for what you are and what you do. It's very important that we really listen deeply inward with everything that we encounter, with everything that affects us in some way, that touches us somehow in a pleasant or unpleasant way. With all of it, we can see that it's a mirror reflection. Sure, there are also many things that just happen and that are none of our business. So if they have no emotional effect on us, it's safe to just let them pass by. We don't have to examine everything. But we should examine everything that somehow touches our feelings or emotions. That's an opportunity to have a closer look. Of course, we're always happy to take a look at the positive mirror reflections. Sure, I attracted this awesome person into my life, is what we say then. But the negative ones, well, there we would rather look away and say, it's her fault. Or if he had not done this to me, everything would have developed differently for me, and so on. So we have a tendency to look outside with the negative ones, and that's exactly the problem. If you keep going outside without reflecting yourself, always looking for someone to blame on the outside, you will not make progress in your development. But since your whole being would like to develop further, the situation will come back over and over again. It's a chance, simply an opportunity to realize, oh, there is room for improvement here. Let me have a look at it, change something, and then I can go on. And then this doesn't have to happen again. Then it won't take yet another person to come and create an unpleasant situation for me, whether it's being mean to me or making me lose my job or me not having enough money or me encountering people who don't respect me, whatever it may be. It always has something to do with you. There is nothing outside of yourself. I mean, not really. You need to change things inside of you in order to change situations outside. The law of resonance applies, and you start resonating with a new kind of people, different people, or people who have so far behaved towards you in a certain way, all of a sudden can give that behavior up because they see, okay, problem is solved. I don't have to be a mirror here anymore. You can really imagine that you are creating a stage play with your projector. And everybody taking part in it has been hired by you personally as an actor in this play. Maybe this metaphor helps you benefit from this dynamic or deal with it in a more pragmatic way. I really imagine that when somebody annoys me or behaves in an unfriendly way, that I have hired this person as an actor. What do they want to show me? What does my inner world want to show me by presenting this person or this behavior to me? Usually it doesn't take long to understand. The great thing is that you cannot hide, even if it's unpleasant or uncomfortable. But it's also an awesome creation of life. I mean, really, you can never cheat. No training, no certificate, no dream job, no million in your bank account, nothing will ever help you hide from your issues. Your life shows you very clearly how far you've developed. And everyone else who knows about mirrors can also see it. Everybody sees that if there's someone who permanently has problems, is struggling, gets sick, has no money, whatever. Relationship issues, of course, are very common. So everybody can clearly see that it is for you to solve this. It's your responsibility. Apparently, you still have some suppressed parts that you are not looking at. Fears, for example, aspects of the ego. Those are layers that need to be transformed, that want to be resolved so that you can get closer to feeling at one in your life. So please dare do this work. It's so wonderful. And every mirror reflection is a gift. We might even say the meaner or the more painful a mirror is, or a mirror reflection is, the greater the gift that's hiding behind it. Because this gift is always your freedom, your life force, your energy that used to be locked up in something that you used to suppress and that doesn't have to be suppressed. Let it flow and express itself. Participate in life with all your feelings and aspects. aspects. And whatever you dislike, just have a look at it and transform it. I'd like to speak about the individual mirrors now, in order to help you understand this a bit better if you don't already. So we are speaking of 4 mirrors. The first one is the direct one. It's the one that is easiest to identify by asking the question, what am I radiating at this moment? Everybody knows this. When I'm happy, I'm walking the streets. When I can't wipe the smile off my face anymore. When I'm simply happy or looking forward to some event or a meeting. All of a sudden, everyone around me smiles at me. And then there's somebody who offers me to move forward in the line, and the cars stop for me so I can cross the street. Everything's going smoothly. All the traffic lights are green. I'm sure you're familiar with this kind of situation. This is the direct mirror. Of course, it also applies when I'm angry or grouchy or unfriendly. Then I'll also be meeting this energy on the outside. And these people are showing me what's going on with me right then and there. Okay, got it. At that moment, I have the opportunity of allowing these feelings or emotions to flow, allowing this anger to show up, for example, and maybe even hit a cushion or go run it off in the forest or let out a loud yell or so that this feeling won't settle in me and attract actors all the time who have to reflect it to me. But I can allow it to flow again, which means that it automatically neutralizes itself, because every feeling, in terms of its basic energy, is simply our life force, pure life energy, which we stop and dam up with our judgments. And so it's us who can liberate it again by allowing the feeling to be there, by saying, hey, I'm angry, so what? That's okay, it's the way it is right now. Everybody gets angry once in a while, right? Nobody can have a happy face all day long. We're allowed to be sad once in a while or angry, but we should find a natural way of dealing with these feelings and not suppress them. And then they flow through your body and leave again. No feeling will stay longer than 2 or 3 minutes unless you hold on to it by wanting to suppress it. The second mirror is a bit more difficult to identify. It's the mirror of suppressed aspects. This mirror shows you, usually also through other people or situations that really annoy you or make you angry, greatly affect you emotionally. They're showing you that you are suppressing something, and something that wants to be released. It's something that you don't live. Let's say you envy somebody who's doing something that you would like to do. Maybe somebody is further along in their development and you admire this person. Maybe he or she plays a great instrument or can dance really well or has a beautiful voice. And you've also always wanted that or to do that, but you've never dared. And if you're now jealous or envious of this person, this shows you that this aspect in you wants to be lived and expressed, that you can look at it and can also take a conscious decision about what to do with it. Is it really too late? All right, but then I'll really say goodbye to it for good and let it go. Or do I maybe really want to take it up and develop it? Another example is that somebody ventures to do something that you would never take the liberty of doing. Let's say you totally disapprove of a certain way of life for religious reasons or considerations regarding your children's education or whatever. And someone else comes along and does exactly that, does it in exactly the way that you would never do it. But secretly, you might not find it that bad after all. Maybe deep down you would like to do it in this way too. Or you simply admire the courage and the freedom of this person. You would never muster up all that courage. So re-examine your convictions, your patterns, your values. Are these values really mine, or have I adopted them from my parents or grandparents, from the village community or the sports club or whoever? And now I feel I cannot escape anymore. I've already presented myself as this person and judged others so many times that I cannot just back out of it and do it differently. Maybe it's about unfaithfulness. I'm just thinking of an example of a lady who experienced exactly that. She always used to judge these men that do something like that, and they are not decent, and so on. Now guess what then of course happened to her, you know? So our mirrors are, we could say, merciless to a certain extent, but they are not against us. Life is never against us. Life always means well for us. It always wants to show us where we are too rigid, where the flow has been disrupted or jammed, and where we can liberate ourselves. Our true self keeps punching against the layers from inside, saying, "Go away." And that's exactly how it works. So the mirror of the suppressed aspects can also show up in minor occurrences. I'll tell you a funny thing that happened to me. It was a few years ago, and there was one single parking space left in front of the organic grocery store, and I didn't have much time. I was in a bit of a hurry. But at the very last second, I saw that it was reserved for the handicapped. So I briefly thought about ignoring it, but my good upbringing made me decide, no, you cannot do that. I mean, what if somebody arrives who really needs it and so on? No, don't do that. Not good. So I parked quite a ways away, had to walk quite a distance. And when I arrived at the store again, guess what happened? A big, fat, fancy car was just taking the space, and a totally healthy man jumps out, runs into the store. Can you imagine how angry I was at that moment? And such moments are great moments to appreciate what you know about the mirrors, because you can transform the issue in you right away. You know right away. It's not about him. All he's doing is showing me my suppressed parts, showing me my inner judgment, my indignation, you know, when I was standing there like that. Inside, of course, he didn't see that. But I saw it. I noticed it. And that's very interesting when you have a chance of getting to know yourself better and better and releasing and liberating more and more parts of yourself. You can liberate yourself. You can. The third mirror is really mean because it is the mirror of your greatest fear. Some call it the mirror of the dark night of the soul. Your greatest fear does not have to manifest itself if you consciously deal with it. If you really face your fears and you say, okay, I'm afraid of this, and it would be a bad thing if it happened, but I am coping with it, I'm managing it, I'm aware of these feelings, I'm not pushing them away into my unconscious, where they then have to keep wanting to creep up out of the darkness, but I'm bringing them to light, fully aware of them, and I'll find out what I can resolve and release so that these fears will disappear. If that's your approach, these things don't have to show up on the screen of your life. They don't have to happen then. But if there is a fear where you are saying, no, I'm not going to look at this. It's so bad. It's too much. It hurts so bad. It drives me up a wall. And I have nothing that would help me handle it. I have no tools. So I'd rather push it away. This means it will keep wanting to emerge out of your shadow. This fear will keep coming back over and over again, and you will have less and less control over it. It often also brings other fears with it, so that there might be panic attacks, or people don't want to drive their cars anymore, don't want to go shopping anymore. They're not capable of doing the simplest things anymore because they are so afraid. And they're not really afraid of driving or grocery shopping, but of this big, dark, seemingly violent force that wants to come forward. It's nothing foreign. It's your own fears. Have a look at them. Then they will never have to manifest. But when you push them away, for a long time even, or over and over again, this force will become too strong at some point, and it will find a way to come to the surface and project itself onto the screen of your life. And this can truly lead to very unpleasant experiences that really nobody would want to have. So, for example, if someone has always been afraid of becoming sick, this is exactly what might happen. Maybe because they kept getting themselves into situations that over time then made them sick, or they ate the wrong things. Or maybe you've always been afraid of being lied to or betrayed, and then that's exactly what happens to you. And possibly because of your permanent jealousy that was maybe also suppressed all the time. Please face your fears. Look at them. Look at what you can do about them, how you can tackle them, what the primal traumas may be underneath. I've explained many of these things in my book, how you can access your subconscious, for example, by going into the theta state, and how you can work on yourself on very profound levels. Also describe how you can access your personal traumas, and not only those that you've experienced and that you remember, but also those of your parents and grandparents and generally your ancestor line, and also those of other incarnations, if applicable. So it's very, very useful to really do a good cleanup here, because then you'll all of a sudden notice, I don't have any fears anymore, or I only have one fear left and I used to have 100. I was afraid of everything, a participant said to me once. I was afraid of all of life, of every person, every animal, every situation. This lady was not capable of working anymore, and now she is leading quite a normal life again, because we did a good job tidying up in her life. Everything is possible if you make it possible, if you are ready to have a look at your shadows. The fourth mirror is the mirror of the ego. It's relatively easy to identify. Sometimes it shows up together with other mirrors, mostly with number 2 and 3, but it has to do with purely material things on the outside. So if all of a sudden something falls away that you used to identify with on the outside, then it's most probably the mirror of the ego that is at work. Because your true self has no room anymore. It cannot make itself seen or heard anymore. If you assign a lot of importance to your egoic layers around you, to your masks, to your appearance, your true self will not be able to show anymore, and then it will fight to find a way, which means eliminating these layers. An example of this could be the successful business person or executive, just working, neglecting all other values slowly but surely, not listening to his family's requests to take better care of himself or to take time for the family. But he's gotten totally hung up on work, and that's what he identifies with. And now, all of a sudden, he is not getting any business offers anymore, or he loses his job. Things are going south. Or he gets sick, and all of a sudden, the appointments have to be cancelled that he was so rigidly and desperately holding on to before. Sometime in bed, sometimes even sometime in the hospital, or a time of unemployment can also be a gift to many people, because then they reflect on what they were doing. What did I do? Who was this person? I was so far from being authentically me. I don't want to continue like that. And then they can find a new way of thinking and can give their lives a new direction and say, I can be happy with a job where I make a bit less money, but I can be more authentically myself and can dedicate a bit of time to my interests, be there for my family again, enjoying a good time together, and also allow my body the time for regeneration. Another example might be the woman who only identifies with her outer appearance, neglecting her inner values and truths altogether. Well, then there's a mistake by a beauty surgeon, or failed plastic surgery, or the aging process starts to show, she starts having hair loss. Something unfortunate happens that takes this beauty away from her in order to show her, look here, you're much more than just that. There's nothing wrong with taking good care of your outer appearance. Absolutely. We've chosen this body for our souls to live in. And we also show our power through this body. So why then should we not also take very good care of it and groom it and make sure it's doing well through what we eat and good body care and so on? There's nothing wrong with that. I believe that we are meant to take good care of it and not neglect it. It needs us. But we should not ignore the fine line beyond which we start defining ourselves by our bodies, resulting in us doing everything for our bodies, but nothing or much too little for our souls, for our true selves, for the persons that are inside these bodies. This mirror of the ego, I guess you've understood it, right? Of course, there are many, many examples for each of the mirrors. In the seminars, we always talk about this topic at length. Everybody has their eureka moments where they say, now I understand. And that's exactly the gift of working with the mirrors. When you really get used to looking within instead of looking without, and ask, which of my own aspects is presenting itself to me in this person or through this person? Then you'll be taking huge strides in your development. And then you won't be blocking your development anymore through the various egoic layers. But then you really arrive at your own true self, and then you finally have the opportunity of being what or who you are. A very helpful question to ask when working with the mirrors is, what am I in relation to this mirror? What's the effect this mirror has on me? As I've explained at the beginning, the same situation can create very different responses in different people. So it's never about the situation or about the other person, but about the button that is being pushed in you. How does this affect you? Does it make you small, incompetent, ugly? Or do you feel that it's always you who takes responsibility even though you'd like to surrender some responsibility for a change? What exactly is it? There are 1,000 possibilities. Find out how the situations that are showing up in your life, especially when they do so repeatedly, how these situations affect you. Tune into that feeling and ask your inner self, what exactly is this? And where exactly does it come from? And then you can transform it with just your consciousness. Merely bringing these dark aspects up from the basement, willing to look at them, not pushing them down into the subconscious, where they keep popping up anyway, makes a difference. This makes a difference. Saying to them, I'm willing to let you come to the surface, even though I don't like you, even though you're making me afraid, but I don't want you there in the basement anymore. I want to release you fully and completely, and then you will be free. Then you'll make great strides, and then your whole life will change. Harness the power of the mirror reflections and transform what you don't like, and then you can create something new. And you can create a life that attracts the people and situations to you that you'd like to encounter. and who help you grow. If you would like to read up on this topic, you can also find more information in my book. I'll hold it up again, but it's only in German for now, just for purposes of self-reflection maybe. And I wish you the very best of success and joy in working with the mirrors, with your epiphanies and insights. Insights about what might still need to be tackled. And of course, I hope you'll enjoy the awesome results. If you feel that this video has helped you and could also help other people, I would greatly appreciate it if you could share it with others. So thank you so much for listening, and have a great time. Bye.